so whenever we're together, I will consider. She gets offended by shrimp, so I won't order shrimp. And I know she doesn't. She gets offended by catfish, so I won't order catfish. But I will, I will order. But I won't, like I'm not gonna have meat because she doesn't eat meat. I will, get salmon. I'll get something that's not offensive to her, and we're good. So I order maybe chicken. She's okay. I eat chicken, and we'll do that. And I don't want to. And I don't consider her to be a weak Christian, because we can discuss the word and we're together. But it's still because I think I'm more or less respected. You don't eat that, and we're gathering, and so I just try to comply. It doesn't take anything from me. I'm not starving. I order what I want. But, I order what I want that won't offend her. I'll put it like that. I won't order the shrimp. I order when I'm not with her. But it's just saying, it's like having consideration for others. Like in the second outline, you're just being considerate. And it doesn't cost anything to be considerate. And, but that's just me. That's just me. If you want to eat, when you want to eat your pork or whatever with somebody, but you're going, the scripture is saying don't, be offensive. Because the Christian life is not about food. That's a minor matter. We're not going to get into it about food, like pointing the finger. And see, she can't really judge me, though, because of what I eat and don't eat. And I'm not going to judge her about what she does not eat. We just have consideration for others. And, God expects all his children to love and support each other spiritually. He's not asking me to support somebody by, food. And he's not the insult. He's not asking us to be in the judgmental role of criticizing what somebody else is eating. And we do take into account if somebody has some health problem, even in our family, we'll say, you shouldn't be eating all that pork because you got high blood pressure, But we're trying to, in that way, we may be trying to be considerate of them, but we're not judging them spiritually and saying, oh, you're going to be in trouble because you're eating that. But we're focusing, some put out of love, perhaps, about their health status. It's like, you're not supposed to have that pork because your blood pressure is through the roof, and you're eating that. And you're not supposed to, get that alcohol because, you got a liver problem, you got a kidney problem. So we're considering them. We're not spiritually judging them, but we're witnessing. But if we know somebody, if my friend was a weak Christian, and if she considered me to be a stronger Christian, and then if I'm going to do something, because people, like I said, they're always watching you, and they're like, oh, so they're Christians and they're doing this, I can do it too. But they're weaker. We become a stumbling block. The focus is off of God. They begin to focus on us, and they be focusing on what we do and our actions. But we need to possess a sacrificial love that's going to bless others and to draw others to Christ, and not do things that will stand in the way of establishing that relationship with Christ. We don't want to block anybody from coming to Christ. The strong must have a sympathetic and understanding ear for the weak. But then the weak also has to have an understanding too. You can't criticize us. And we're not to act to please only ourselves, because, as stated before, Christ is the only example of one who always acted out of consideration for others. We slip up sometimes. We may say things sometimes. We may be in a judgmental role. It's not a good role to be. I think it bothers me a lot when somebody, your life is over here raggedy, but you're constantly trying to talk about what somebody else is doing spiritually. But your spirituality is raggedy too. But you're over here judging somebody else. And one thing I've found is what people don't like. We don't like for anybody to tell us what we need to do. We hate to hear that word. And especially if somebody is pointing at you and say, you need to stop that. You it's just like a wall of defense where we're like, me, I need to, need. But there's a way you can tell somebody what they need to do without telling them you need to do it. You could be kind and in love and say, have you considered, doing this? Don't tell me you need to be at the gym, but I'll take it a lot better if you say, have you considered going to the gym maybe 3 days a week, 2? In your own way, you're telling me I need to, but you're not saying it, because I've noticed, when you tell people what they need to do or what they don't need to do, you don't need to buy that car. And we're like, what? You don't need to do this. We do not like for anybody to tell us what we need to do. God tells us what we need to do, though. And there's resistance even in that. Sometimes there's resistance. But Christ is the perfect example. He acted out of consideration for others. He's our example. We got to consider others. And the strong have to bear the infirmities of the weak, not to please ourselves, but let every one of us please his neighbor for his good, to edification, because Christ didn't please himself. Through the scriptures, as well as through the example of Christ, God is encouraging us to live in unity with one another, because God is what? Love. God is love. How would the world know that we're followers of Christ? They know that we are Christians by our what? Love. They know that. We're to encourage, we're to support, and we're to spiritually uplift and not get caught up in what we're eating and not eating. Matters of that, what you're doing and not doing. We have to focus on love, and that's what this lesson is all about in a nutshell. It's like focusing and not being judgmental, considering others, have a consideration of others. There may be times that there's something you want to do or you want to say, but in the presence of others, you're not going to do it. You're going to consider them. So we judge ourselves, and instead of being the infamous self-appointed, keep them straight committee judges of everybody else. So we will consider others, and then we'll focus on faith and focus on Christ and what Christ would have us to do. This is what he wants us to do, to live in love. Because like I say, oh, what a wonderful world it would be if we actually all practice love that leading to peace. There wouldn't be any fights, whether it's fist fight, the violence. We would consider others, consider how our actions affect others. And that's what Paul is saying. Consider your actions. Does anyone have anything to say? Kind. Being kind to bring glory to Christ. But sometimes we wake up and don't choose kindness. We just wake up and we're going to choose everything but. If they cut me off, this is what's going to happen. But you're right. If we could choose kindness and exhibit it, show it. And it doesn't cost anything to smile. It doesn't cost anything to say a kind word to anybody. And then, if we would focus on that, and we would all, it's like, what was Rodney King that said, could we all just get along? Can't we all just get along? How hard is that? And, but it seems like even for Christians, it's like, can't we all just focus on our mission? What are we here for? We're worshiping God. We're not. And like I said before, he didn't appoint me to try to put anybody in line. What are you doing? He didn't do that. It's all about love and the true godly love, the love that God imputes in us. It's coming down. If you could just virtually imagine in your mind it's coming down. The love is flowing from up above, but it has to go out this way. It's coming down. And so that's the love that he's bringing down to us, and we're to project it out. But sometimes it seems like it gets, clogged in the system. Because it comes down and we don't share it out. We're sharing something else. We're putting self in the way. Self becomes, and we ask the Lord, help me to get out of myself and move self out of the way so that I can be a vessel that you can use. Help me to get out of myself. Self will cause us to mess up all the time. Our lives should be a blessing to bless others. If we not just keep it, we have to bless others with what we have. It's like I say, it's coming from above, and we're to project it out this way. The people in Montgomery. Again, it goes back to people don't like to be told what to do, what they need to do. In a nutshell, he was telling them what they needed to do. You need to move this boat. But, and I don't think even if he had said, have you considered moving this boat so that, that wouldn't work, because people don't like to be told what to do. Children, we try our best, example, by example. And we don't want to become a stumbling block. We want, because God is going to, as I said, each one of us will individually, each one of us will give an individual account to God. He's not going to ask me, what did I think about you? He's not, which is good because I probably won't remember. But he won't ask that. We all will give an account. And somebody is always watching, like you say, about the dress. If someone comes and if it's extreme, you may want to gently say something, but nothing offensive. And that's what we got to consider others. And if we would consider other people's feelings, if some people said something to you, would that hurt you? Would that hurt your feelings? Then why would we say it to somebody else? Because, and that old adage about sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt. That's not true. That's not true. There are so many people today that because some words were said to them or some actions were done to them, they have hurt. And now they have a phrase they've coined called church hurt, that people may have gotten their feelings or something hurt by something that was said in the church. And see, what we have to be mindful. We're not the ones doing that. And then, too, what they have to be reminded of is that Christ is the example. Christ is and if you're going to let me, stand between you and Christ, then, you need to look around, learn how to look around me to get to him. But we're not to be a stumbling block. And we have to gently provide correction. But as you say, you got to get them in, and not offend. We don't want to turn anybody away. Did you have your hand up? Yes. Fishers of men, and we don't catch clean fish. No. Yeah, we are works in progress. We are still under construction. Examination. Exactly. We're majoring in the minor when we focus on food to save us, you know. And love as Christ loved. He had that sacrificial love, that, the in spite of, the unconditional love. We tend to love because of, but Christ loved in spite of. We love because somebody did something that was nice to us. But Christ loved in spite of that, in spite of his treatment. And, we find it very hard if somebody mistreated us. I'm like, I don't love them anymore. I'm through with that. But it's all about genuine, godly love. And that should be our aim. That should be our focus as Christians. Because that's the only way the world is going to know the difference between us and the world. We got to have that sacrificial love. Because the world got some love too. They got love, they got money, they got all of that. But the only difference is we got to have the godliness, the godly love, the sacrificial love, the non-judgmental. We can't be, the church and try to fish, as Mary said, catch the fish, and we're looking up and down and saying, did you see what they ate? Did you see what they had on? We're judging. Self-appointed, keep them straight. And that's what, we ought to aim not to be. God didn't appoint us to try to keep anybody straight. We appoint ourselves, and that's wrong. But we are to follow Christ and to love one another and do acts of peace and do acts that lead to the greater good for the kingdom, and not to be stumbling blocks for anybody. And majoring in the minors, focusing on food, focusing on what somebody is eating, focusing on what somebody is not eating, as far as religious matters. As I said before, though, some people are, because of health, there's reasons that they don't eat certain things. But I'm talking about for religious matters, keeping the Mosaic law because of whatever. We don't make judgment on that, because we are walking on the street, but you're using your own feet. And each pot will sit on its own bottom. Each person will stand before God and will give an account for what we do and for what we didn't do. God is not going to ask me about what somebody else ate, and he's not going to ask me about what somebody else did. So since that won't be the case, I don't need to waste my time now focusing on that. I need to spend my time bettering me, because I want to be, in good standing. So I have to focus on me and my shortcomings and stop, focusing on what somebody else is doing or need to be doing or they need not to be doing. The focus, we build each other up, and we let that love that comes down, We get it. We get it. Come down, the daily mercy, and we're showing mercy. You know, it's coming down like this, and we got to go out like this, show it like this. The love that comes down from above, we got to exhibit it and spread it out this way. And we got to do love in a way that we know, because we've been taught, we know godly love. And we know when we're going to do or say something that's offensive, but our focus is to not be a stumbling block, to share the love of God in consideration of others, and focus on the faith. That's all I have for today. Thank you.